YouTube fandom community, Sagittarius fans, random people on the internet, my name is Giggens, and we're here today to talk about this brilliant debut from Sagittarius, present tense. Look at this thing. But this thing is an absolute gem. If you've never heard this album before, and you love psychedelic 60s sunshine pop, baroque pop, really well-constructed songs that go to the exact places you hope they go for that really sweet chord, this is exactly what you're looking for. This is an album that continues to blow my mind, and I think will forever. It's one of those things that's so dense and loaded with so many left turns and so many expected things you want to hear. You want to hear, oh, hope comes back to that refrain. Hope it comes back to that chord. Oh, it went somewhere else. Oh, that's pretty cool. This album's loaded with that. So the cool thing about this band is that it's not even a real band. Here's the backstory, real quick. Throughout the 1960s, Gary Usher worked his way up the musical ladder. He was writing songs with Brian Wilson in the early days, then became a producer, and became a staff producer with Columbia Records. In 1967, he was working with Chad and Jeremy, and he heard this demo for My World Fell Down. And he was like, man, this is a great song. Chad and Jeremy, you should do this song. And the guys heard it, and they weren't feeling it. They didn't want to do it. So Gary was like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. And he went in there and assembled basically the Wrecking Crew, bar for a few people, and put together this brilliant, astonishing track. And I'll get into the details about it as we go along, but anyways, the song came out, and it was a modest hit number 70 on the top charts, which is okay, but it's enough to gain exposure and get the name out there. And so Capitol Records was like, hey, go on tour, put this band on tour. And Gary was like, I am the band. And they were like, oh. So Gary, along with his friend Curt Betcher, put together this entire album, and it came out in July of 1968. And it kind of made up for not being able to tour as this group. But man, this album blows my mind constantly. So let's go into it. The record opens up with a song called Another Time, which I think is a great way to start this album because it literally puts you into a different space. Its patient, whispered intro leads to this beautiful dream pop realm filled with lullaby springs, really crisp, punctual drums, and a reverby atmosphere that just removes you from your waking state to this perfect plane surrounded by the most beautiful chord progressions ever. It's a song that instantly captures your imagination and your attention and makes you think, wow, I didn't know music can do that. That's really what the opening of this album feels like, and most of this album has that emotional effect, at least on me, and I'm sure a lot of other people too, but brilliant opener. Song to the Magic Frog opens it up next, and a vocal harmony sent from the heavens. I mean, that playful harpsichord to accent the beauty pouring out of your speakers with absolute magic in the construction of this song. How do you write a song like this? Like, where does it come from? How do you have that effortless sophistication and make it sound so easy? It's breezy, the harmonies are fantastic, it's definitely another earworm, which leads you into the next track, You Know I Found a Way, which I love this one. Really gentle intro with some nice bass and cello kind of playing alongside each other, but then those breathy, whispered, dense vocals are so comforting. And lyrically, it's a wonderful slice of dream pop, peace and love, it's ear candy, it's nonstop, it's a really short song, but really sweet. Up next, you get The Keeper of the Games, and this song is great. I like how the production on this track in particular is drier. Like, the instruments sound a little bit more raw, a little bit more dry, because it puts so much emphasis on the reverb on the vocals, which makes them glow like they're from a different dimension. It really sounds like a happy, warm, sunny spring day. Cool little track. Then you get Glass, which is a sitar-led track, very trippy, rolls along, almost like a song from like a Renaissance era. Like, it has this sort of, I know we say Baroque pop a lot, but this one actually sounds like it's from like an old-timey era from back in the day. Like, they dug it up and they wanted to put pop music to it. So it sounds kind of eerie because of that, but I really dig it. And then Would You Like to Go? Man, this song is an awesome track. It's a bouncy rocker that lifts the mood, especially after that last track, but great bass work, cool harmonies, and overall adventurous spirit on this one. A quirky little song that's overflowing with layers and euphoria. It's a track that you can listen to over and over again and find something else in it every single time you play it. Side 2 opens up with the absolute classic My World Fell Down. This is a track that I remember hearing as a kid and always having it stuck in my mind. I never knew who it was, who sang it. I knew nothing about it. I just knew that chorus, and I knew that sort of, it almost sounds like a ticking clock, like an old wind-up alarm clock from back in the day in the beginning of the song. And the magic on this track is unreal. That's Glenn Campbell singing the verses. If you didn't know, that's Glenn Campbell. And on the choruses, there's Bruce Johnston. So you have two Beach Boys, two guys who replaced Brian, on this song at the same time. It is so dynamic and bombastic and rich. It is a track that just flows along beautifully. And the album version doesn't have that musical collage in it that the single version does. And while I can appreciate that sort of single version collage, music concrete as they call it, I like it more without it. The song just flows better. The song feels more dreamy. It doesn't have that shattering, take you out of the moment kind of feel, which, you know, there's a place for that. But on its own, on the album, that's how I prefer it. Hotel Indiscreet is up next, and this is a really cool song. It sounds like the happiest, dreamiest, psychedelic marching band marching down Main Street on a warm spring day parade. The cool thing about this one is it adds a harmonica, which kind of gives you the cool, like, earthy tone. So it kind of takes it away from that psychedelia for a little bit, and side 2 does a lot of those tricks, which is really fun. You get that magic of everything from the first side, but then it kind of like takes it back a little bit, which is really cool. But the background vocals, the ba-ba background vocals are great on this one. And it leads into the next track, I'm Not Living Here, which is a great song. I love how it starts off with acoustic guitar. It's kind of the first time that's really showcased on the album, and you're really deep into the album at this point. So to hear Surprises is a well-sequenced record, but it feels so good. This could have been a single. It's just dripping in feel-good vibes. Musty Dusty follows that, and another dry, kind of gentle ballad, which is actually really refreshing because the whole album's been like really dense, layered, sophisticated stuff. So hearing it like this is a nice reprise, nice, calm, pleasant lullaby. And again, to have something so deep into the album shift your focus like that, well played move. And the last song on here, The Truth Is Not Real. Love the groovy Ringo-esque drums, like rain all over this thing. The soaring organ, the phasey vocals. It's just a loose rockin' jammer and a real funky way to end this album off. But this particular release, I'll show you the back. They call it a backtrack reissue. Maybe it is a backtrack and not actually Rhino. Yeah, I guess it is backtrack. But here's the back cover, which is great. A little globe here and Sagittarius, present tense. And a whole bunch of thank yous on the bottom. So they list all the people that played on this thing, which is a lot of names you'd recognize. The front cover is cool. There's Gary, there's Curt. And let me show you the inside here. So again, this is on the Backtrack Records and Tapes label. So it's not an original. But it will absolutely do for now. It sounds fantastic and it's super clean from the mid-'80s, so I'm happy with it. After this album came out, Gary and Curt would work again on a second album for Sagittarius before calling it a day. And then eventually Gary started his own record label after leaving Columbia Records or got fired. There's varying reports. But anyways, the music that they made together and the guys they worked with on this project created something so special and so unique. And it's fascinating to me to think of back in those days, you could do that. You can make a band out of not having a band and make you think you were buying a band's album. You can't do that anymore because it's so easy to be like, oh, there's all the people. I searched online. I found out everything about them. Mystery gone. Back in the day, you couldn't do that. You heard a song on the radio, you bought the single, and assumed they were a band. Why would you think otherwise? So it's amazing how talented these guys were and the spark that they had to make something absolutely unique and fascinating. It's constantly inspiring. This album, when you put it on, it'll make you want to write something. It'll make you want to sing. It'll make you want to be creative. It's a nonstop force that always gives you more. It's a beautiful album, and if you haven't heard it, do yourself a favor, pick up a copy, stream it online, find it somehow, and really focus with it. Like, don't listen to it like while you're driving for the first time. Like, have it on the couch, put your headphones on, or have it on your hi-fi system, and just get lost in the music. It's an experience. This album is an experience. And it's one you'll never forget. It grows on you. It's kind of like Odyssey and Oracle, something like that, where it's just like, wow, this album is incredible over and over and over again. How the hell did they do that? This is it. So Sagittarius, present tense, for me, this is easily a 10 out of 10 album. I don't throw those out there too often, but this album is an absolute knockout classic. There's no faults on this album. There's nothing wrong with this album. It takes you on a journey, and you are all the better for it. So there you go. Sagittarius, present tense. Very, very happy to finally be talking about this thing. So there you are. What are your thoughts on this album? Very curious to hear what you guys say about it. It's a classic, and it's very highly regarded as one of the best albums of the 60s. So let me know. 10 out of 10, Sagittarius. My name is Giggens. This has been Sagittarius, present tense. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves. See ya.